environment that might not need a full virtual desktop from a Windows 7 or XP perspective. So that is really all I had. Looks like it's 1:45 now. We'll take some time for questions, Valerie.
Okay, great. We've got a couple questions that have come in. If anybody has any others, please go ahead and use that question box in your control panel and go to webinar. The first question I've got is, are there Microsoft apps available within the Apple OS offerings for XenDesktop or client?
So I think the question is going towards how do we enable Windows applications on a Mac OS? Did I understand the question correctly? Something like that?
Yeah, I think like that.
Yeah, so we have the Citrix receiver is really the key enabler for enabling all this, and we've worked very closely with Apple on this. We had the iPad for months and months ahead of its release, under lock and key, as you can imagine. But we developed it with them to enable, and that's a big thing. I was reading an article yesterday, I think it was in Forbes, about how Apple is going after the enterprise without even really trying, was the name of the article. And that's what it's enabling. You know, people really like the Mac experience. They like the iPad, the iPhone, the Mac laptops are great. But the challenge with them in the past was if you didn't run Mac applications on them, they weren't very valuable from a business perspective. So now this Citrix receiver enables that, and unfortunately I don't have a Mac I can show you, and it's going to be hard to get my iPad on to the GoToMeeting really fast. But having their Citrix receiver there enables you to run a full Windows 7 desktop on it, or just individual applications that will run just like they normally would on that operating system. And you can run a full Windows OS or Windows app in a Mac environment. So that's very, very popular these days. You know, I mentioned our Bring Your Own Computer solution program. About 40% of the people in the program today buy Macs with the stipend. And because we can deliver the Windows operating system and Windows applications to it, it becomes a viable business tool now. So I hope I answered the question.
Great, thanks. And Drew, here, we've got a few more. What do road warriors do when they don't have internet access and need to run an app that is only in the cloud?
That's a good question. So that's where the whole Zen client solution comes in. I mentioned the mobile laptop where we have a hypervisor on the laptop. It's required. It requires certain chipsets because we built this with Intel, but many of the newer Intel chips that are coming in the laptops, it's built in. So you have the capabilities built right into it. So there's two things. You have to think about it. If the data or the back end, the database, or the application servers are in the cloud, there's really not much you can do when you're offline. Really what you can do offline is, you know, desktop applications like Office, sending emails, Word, Office productivity type apps. If you require a database connection or an application server connection in the cloud or in your local environment, there's really not much you can do offline with those applications. So typically what I see as I'm a road warrior. I work out of my house. I never go to the office. I have a Verizon card, and that goes with me all the time. So I'm always able to be connected whenever I want to be. So I hope I hit that from both sides there.
Yeah. Here's another one. How are local printers passed to the virtual desktop?
That's a great question. So when I'm sure some people on the phone know that printing has been a challenge in Citrix environments for quite a while. The last few years we've really made that a lot better, and there are Citrix-ready products. Our partners have solutions for this to really help with printing. But basically how it works is you have printers and faxes in your local environment. Let's see if I can demo this for you here. You have printers and faxes connected to your local machine or configured. When you log in, we actually basically query that environment, and we look to see what printers are there, what drivers, and then we make them available. So here on my screen, Drew Laptop is my machine name, so I've got 5 printers that are available in my environment. So if I wanted to go and print something, it will actually make that printer available in my virtual desktop, print through the ICA protocol through remotely to my local machine, and print like I normally would. So really, I guess the shorter answer is it just queries your printers and faxes to see what's available and makes them available as pass-through in your virtual desktop. So nice and simple for the users. They don't have to do a lot. It does it automatically for you as part of your login.
Great, thanks. And I've had a couple more come in. I have one person has asked, they've been told that XenDesktop is restricted to about 8 concurrent connections per XenServer. Is that still the case?
That is a good question. I don't know if I can answer that specifically, but think about it this way. I'll take it up a level. I don't know if 8 is correct. So, but think about it this way. You have a physical server. You buy a HP DL 380, and you throw 96 gigs of memory in it, and it's got whatever 8 to 12 virtual or processor cores in it. So it's a pretty beefy box. You know, that's kind of a standard box these days as the server infrastructure has gotten a lot more powerful. So when you're looking at a virtual desktop environment, you take that server, physical server, and you're slicing it up to give your users their own little piece of that virtual piece. So, you know, when you assign a virtual desktop to them, in Windows 7, you're probably going to want to do 2 to 4 gigs of memory per user. So you would want to take that 96 gigs of memory that you've got, and you divide it by how many users how much memory you're going to give per user. Let's say it's 2. So you're looking at about 48 users on that box. You give them a virtual CPU. That's how you need to think about the scalability on these things. And many of our partners, you know, Dell, HP, IBM, Cisco, have done scalability tests. They've tested these things to see what the actual numbers are, and most of them have referenced architecture solutions out there. So whoever your hardware vendor is, they'll be able to tell you exactly how many users you're going to need to get based on your requirements. One big thing, one misconception out there, and I want to make sure this is clear, is I know VMware owns the server virtualization market space. We've got our XenServer product. Microsoft has their Hyper-V. There's some other players out there as well. You know, hypervisors are becoming a lot more popular. One big thing that we want to make sure everybody is aware is that we will support any of them, really the big 3, VMware, XenServer, and Hyper-V. XenServer and Hyper-V are free. They come with the product, but we fully support VMware ESX or vSphere to run your virtual desktops on. Many of my larger customers, they already have a huge VMware infrastructure. They know it. They trust it. It's a great technology. I've never taken anything away from them on their server virtualization side. They have a great technology. We fully support and embrace that. If that's what you choose to run it on, that's fine with us. That will work. We'll integrate into it without an issue. Obviously, we'd love it if you would try XenServer or Hyper-V to run it on there. But if that's just not in the cards and you're not open to that, that's fine with us. So we're open on the hypervisor side. You have to have a hypervisor to split up that server to run these virtual desktops on. So VMware takes a little bit of a different stance. They will only support VMware, which is fine, but we want to be a little bit more open and give you more flexibility today and in the future.
Great. Well, that's about all the time we have for questions right now. I know there's a couple more that we haven't gotten answered, but we